Okay, now let's take a look at how to do Marketa's spreadsheet. Now in class we discussed some reasons Marketa might do prefer to do a spreadsheet for keeping track of all the items sold at her store, especially to use it to figure out how to give change. And some of those reasons might be because a computer is going to be a little more accurate than her figuring it out in her head or writing it down on a piece of paper. It might be faster to figure out because, you know, if she has a lot of people waiting, she doesn't want to spend time figuring out how much change to give when she's got more customers. So here's her spreadsheet. You can see column A, she's got her items listed. She used column B and C just to create a little space. Column D is where she's going to put how many of each item a person purchased. Column E keeps track of the cost of each item. At the bottom you see it's also going to, hopefully we'll be able to figure out how to create the totals for their bill. And column F is the totals for each item. For example, cell F4 is going to be the total cost of the chips each customer bought. F5 is for Doritos, and all the way down to F11. You can see I've highlighted F11 for the bottled water. So next we need to go in and put in the cost of each item before we go any further. So that was located over here in Marketa's scenario. So I'm going to open up Marketa's scenario, look at the prices. We can see the bags of chips sell for 50 cents and candy was 65. So let's go put in bags of chips, and we're writing it as cash, so we're going to put in a 0.5 for 50 cents. You can write the 0. If not, I think it will automatically fill in if you don't. Doritos, those are chips. Cheetos are also chips. And Fritos are chips. Whoops. And Skittles, those are candy. Candy was 65. Snickers, that's candy, 65. Soft drink and water. Soft drinks were 60 cents and water sells for $1. So let's go enter those. 0.6 and $1. Now you can see they all were automatically turned into a money amount. And I can show you how to do that if, later on your own if we needed to fix that. This spreadsheet has been set up to automatically show dollar amounts as dollar amounts, or numbers as dollar amounts. Now let's pretend we're a person. We have our first customer. They come in and they are going to buy 2 bags of Doritos, 1 bag of Cheetos, 4 Snickers, and 4 bottles of water. So now we need to have our spreadsheet help us do the math. And the way you do that is we're going to go over to the cost column. And to help us figure out the cost, we need to write in what's called the formula so that our cells over here will automatically do the math for us. So in cell F4, we needed to figure out the cost of chips that a person might buy. And to figure that out, we need to multiply the number of chips a person is buying, in this case it's 0, times how much each bag costs, which is 50 cents. So in our cost column, when we needed to do a math formula, we start that cell with the by typing an equal sign. That lets the spreadsheet know this is going to be where the spreadsheet has to automatically do some math calculation for us. And the calculation we need it to do is to multiply whatever number has been typed in cell D4. In this case it's a 0. You can type in D4. Notice how it gets a green outline around it. Or a simpler way is simply click on the cell. Now we need it to be multiplied by the cost of that item. So on a computer, you probably already know to multiply you use a star symbol and click on the cell E4 with the cost. When you're done with the formula, it's very important that you push enter so it knows you're done with the formula. If you try to go click down in the next cell, you'll see what happens. Here, I'll try that. Doritos equals number of Doritos times the cost of the Doritos. Now I'm done with this cell, with this formula, but if I go and click in the next cell, it's going to change my number. So make sure when you're done entering your formula, you push enter. So let's go down and do this for all of them. Equals number of Cheetos times cost of the Cheetos, enter, equals number of the Fritos times cost of the Fritos, equals number of the Skittles times cost of the Skittles, enter, equals Snickers times the cost of the Snickers, equals number of soft drinks times the cost of the soft drinks, and the last one equals bottled water times cost of bottled water. Now you can see over here it's figured out some totals for us for the items that we bought. Now we have to tell the computer to add up all the items in this column. So since that's also a math formula, we're going to start this with an equals. Now instead of multiplying, we need to add, and we need to add all of these cells from F4 down to F11. So we can click on each one, and now we're going to use plus instead of the star symbol, and just click each one, then a plus sign. Cheetos plus, Fritos, Skittles plus, Snickers plus, soft drink plus, bottled water, and we're finished. So we hit enter, and we have a total of $8.10. Depending on whether or not you have to collect tax from each purchase, Minnesota, or I should say in St. Paul, our current tax rate is for some items is 6.5%, and the way you would do that is you're going to enter a formula, and we just need to multiply our total value times 6.5%. And the way you do that, to write 6% as a decimal is 0.065. 6.5%. And hit enter. 53 cents is tax, so we need to add those two numbers together. So F17 is going to be our total plus our tax, and we have our total now. Now let's say that person gave us a $20 bill. We need the final thing to make our cash register actually a cash register. It needs to figure out how much money to give back to that person. So to figure out the change, we are going to have to take how much money they gave us. This person gave us $20, and we need to subtract what they owe us, which is in cell F17. Hit enter. We would owe that person $11.37. So now let's go clear out the cash register. I'm going to highlight all their purchase numbers and just click delete those values. You can see everything goes back to 0. Delete the 20. And the next person, let's say the next person came in and they wanted to buy one of everything. Now you can see the new total. $4.90, 32 cents tax, the total, and this person gives us a $10 bill. So now we know to give that person $4.78, and that's how you do Marketa's cash register. And now that you have your cash register working, now it's time to go back to your Google Drive, look at your Marketa worksheet, and answer the questions. So the first few questions are orders that different people are placing so that you can test out your cash register and make sure that it's working properly. And when you are finished with this document, at the bottom there's a challenge that you can do if you have, for those that have enough time, consider kind of like extra credit. And when you're finished, you will need to share this document with me. So when you're finished, click the share button, type in my first name, and remember you put a period, and you type my last name. It should automatically show up. You click it, remove the check mark so that I do not need to get an email. I will just look to see if you have shared it with me, and you click share and save. You'll get a message about skipping the email to me, and you simply just click OK. And then you're done. And that's your assignment for today. Thanks.